And let's do
Are we
it.
ready, gang?
Yep.
Right. Okay. We will call to order the February Victorian Village Commission meeting. So our next business meeting will be Wednesday, February 28th, 2024 at 12 o'clock noon at 111 North 1 Street, second floor, room 205. And then our next hearing will be Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 at 4 p.m., 111 North Front Street, second floor, room 204. As far as staff?
Yep. So, Noble?
Okay.
Kimberly Bernard Sheedy?
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Great, thank you. Introduction of commissioners present. Robert Dossett.
Melinda Shaw?
Pete Schuler, Reed Sprite.
And Tim Skinner. Any overview for format tonight?
Yes, so for our guests and audience, city staff will present the applications, then the applicants or owners will come up to the table and be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials if necessary. If there are any registered speakers, I'd invite you to come up to the podium and fill out a speaker's form now. They will then be sworn in and provided 2 minutes to speak. And then the commission will discuss the case and ask questions as needed.
Okay, great. And we do have a public forum tonight.
We do have a public forum tonight. We have Joshua Monroe from the City Attorney's Office to administer and notarize the final vote. So, be the same.
So it's my understanding, I think everyone sat through this previously. If you remember, it's very long. I apologize. Thankfully, this is the last one and the last time I'll be here. Mr. Hissam, if you don't know, the city attorney's office is asking every commission and board member that's appointed by with the city to take an oath of office and a pledge of ethical conduct. That's what that document is. I think you have it in front of you. I'll administer it. It'll be filed with the city clerk's office. You obviously can get a copy from staff after here. As I'm an attorney, I'll notarize it for you, so you don't have to worry about taking it anywhere.
Perfect.
So what I would just ask is that read along with me with it because it's rather long, as you can see.
Okay.
The first blank will just be your name, and then the second one will be the Victorian Village Commission.
Okay.
You want to fill that in before we start?
Yep. Okay.
And if you will, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Jeffrey Hissam, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Ohio,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Ohio,
and will obey the laws thereof, and will in all respects
and will obey the laws thereof and will in all respects
uphold and enforce the provisions of the Charter and Code of the City of Columbus,
uphold and enforce the provisions of the charter and code of the city of Columbus,
and will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
and will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
abide by all governing bylaws and rules and regulations
abide by all governing bylaws, rules, and regulations
in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Victorian Village Commission.
in discharge of my duties as a member of the Victorian Village Commission.
In addition, I acknowledge and pledge to adhere
In addition, I acknowledge to pledge and adhere
to the highest standards of ethical conduct
to the highest standards of ethical conduct
as outlined in the attached document titled
as outlined in the additional document attached,
City Boards and Commissions Pledge of Ethical Conduct,
titled City Boards of Ethical Conduct,
which details the city's ethics laws and policies.
which details the city's ethics laws and policies.
I understand it is my responsibility to act
I understand that it is my responsibility to act
with integrity, transparency, and accountability
with integrity, transparency, and accountability
in all my actions and decisions,
in all my actions and decisions,
guided by the principles set forth in said document.
guided by the principles of his set forth document.
Thank you very much. If you'll sign that and print your name again, and I will notarize it for you. And thankfully, you guys don't have to hear that again.
Stand up the whole time.
course, we didn't have to be put on the spot to.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'll work. It's a lot better when you have a group of 5, right?
Yeah.
You
I'll grab it from you. Thank
You
you.
did that for the old guy, right? Thank you.
Anything else for public forum?
That's it.
Okay, great. We can move to approval of staff approvals.
Okay, so our staff approvals this month with 312 West Hubbard Avenue, 325 West Hubbard Avenue, and 640 Main.
Do you want your pen back by chance?
That's yours. I got my own.
Special. Very nice. All right, do I have a motion for approval of select approvals?
Motion to approve staff approvals.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, approval for minutes from last meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to the applications.
Our first application is BV 23-12-011 at 1226 Forsyth Avenue. Our applicant would like to step up to the table while having the staff report. This is a request for action for new construction for the 2-story carriage house. The proposed footprint would measure 25 feet and 5 inches deep by 20 feet wide, being offset from the alley by 2 feet and 8 inches. The carriage house would measure 23 feet and 4 inches overall, with Owens Supreme 3-tap shingles in estate gray. And the windows are proposed to be Marvin Elevate 2 doors. I have included the comments from the minutes from December when this was last reviewed. At the business meeting, the commissioners responded positively to the changes made to the design and appreciate the applicant's willingness to take feedback on board. The east elevation was a point of discussion. The commissioners wondered why the windows and doors did not align. The commission also wondered if a shed roof over the doors would be more appropriate than the currently proposed stoops. Since the last hearing, the applicant has updated the design in response to feedback given. The carriage house now presents more as a 2-story structure with a lowered 2nd story, which will be 5 feet and 10 inches between the floor and the eaves, and now has 2 garage doors rather than 1. The height of the proposal has reduced and now sits 4 inches lower, or 4 feet lower than the main house. In response to the business need feedback, the applicant has provided updated drawings that show the door coverings as a shed roof construction. The applicant stated that the windows on the, I think it was the south elevation rather than the east, are placed based on the internal floor plan, which does not allow for the 2nd floor windows to align with the 1st floor window. The paint color for the trim have also yet to be specified. Staff recommends approval of VV 23-12-011, 1226 Forsyth Avenue with the following condition. That the paint color for the trim be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.12, standards for new construction, the Victorian Village Guidelines on new construction, and that concludes my section.
Okay, great. Can the applicant state your name? for the record?
Dan Shu, owner.
Yeah, and we're the architect, Paul Fatkins, Park Fluence.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Anything to add to the application?
No, just kind of came along for support. I know we've been working a little bit back and forth with you guys, so just hoping to get it across the finish line and just, you know, if there's any input that is needed, we're here to kind of support the owner.
Okay, great.
Thanks for working with us.
Yeah.
And we were like so pleased, we couldn't even see straight when we saw it, believe it or not.
Appreciate that, yeah.
So I know there were some comments about the east elevation and the shed roof. Comfortable with the revisions that have been made.
Yeah, yes,
Yep.
just the other drawings not reflected, but we get the point.
And it seems like maybe the only outstanding item is the paint color for approval, which can be done at staff level.
Yep.
Any other comments from the? Yep. Okay. Then do I have a motion?
Sure. Motion on application BV 23-12-011, 1226 Forsyth Ave, to approve the application with the following condition, that the paint color for the trim to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Good, we'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Paint color for the train, to outside, for the window train, the door train to outside, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Those deals.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next application is BV 24-01-006 at 989 North High Street. This is a request for action to install a new blade sign and wall sign on the store at elevation for estimated materials. The blade sign is to be 2 feet and 3¼ inches by 4 feet and 11 inches. And an aluminum cabinet sign. The cabinets have elements that extrude 2½ inches at the side. The sign is to be mounted by mortar joints. We do have a drawing that isn't quite up to date, but it does show where the sign will be mounted. The tin roof is to be lit with LED flex tubing. The alive music joint to be non-illuminated, painted light acrylic. The dancing woman portion to be a reverse plow cabinet with external foam neon. Bulbs are to be installed to illuminate the arrow, and the sign is to be installed 11 feet 6 inches from grade. The wall sign is to be 2 feet by 6 feet and 5/16 of an inch. Installed on a mounted raceway that will be 10 feet from grade, and the raceway to be painted black and installed via mortar joints. Tin roof to have externally illuminated channel lattice with LED foam neon, and the illumination for the alive music joint to be externally exposed LED modules. If the applicant would like to come up to the table, you're more than welcome to.
So do we have a question? These two are connected with the other application,
These are 2 separate applications. for this
but
one.
aren't they really connected in that they're all dealing with the same location? Should we not look at them that way? I'm asking. I would hate to say yes to something and then no to something else.
I'm unsure how to answer that question right now. So
I mean, usually it's the brick and mortar that happens, and then the signage and the lighting is the last piece that happens. This is sort of coming before we've made decisions. I don't know what you other commissioners think, but
I think we can look at them separately. I don't see an issue. They're reconstructing the storefront and putting signage, so I think we can look at it separately, but I'm happy to be quiet.
Rob? Okay.
I have included some comments from the previous meeting minutes. At the business meeting, the commissioners responded positively to the proposed changes to the signs and appreciated that their feedback was taken on board. The structure of the woman on the blade sign was a discussion point. The commissioners present would like clarification on what a reverse cloud element is. It was noted that all the signs should be fixed into mortar joints. Actual detail of the wall behind the sign on the section drawings was requested so that the commission can see exactly where the sign will be fixed. The height of the projecting sign was also considered. Would it be possible to make the sign shorter to comfortably fit within the signage band above the transom window and below the upstairs windowsill? The applicant provided a previous drawing that shows the detail of how the projecting sign fits into the mortar joint. While the design of the sign has changed slightly, the placement of the fixtures has not changed since this transition. The projecting sign has been redesigned to have no internal illumination. The proposed illumination for this sign is mostly to be foam neon, with the exception of the 3-dimensional bulbs on the arrow. The lighting for a live music joint proposed to be externally exposed LED modules. The projecting sign still sits above the windowsill of the 2nd story. Is there a way that the sign could be decreased in height or mounted lower on the wall to ensure that the sign sits below them? The projecting sign is currently proposed to be mounted at 11.5 feet. The wall sign has decreased in width significantly to a maximum width of 6 feet and 5/16 of an inch. Staff recommends approval of application VB-24-01-006, 989 North High Street, as submitted with the following conditions. That the projecting sign be mounted at 10 feet so that the top of the sign sits below the second story. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.13, standards for site improvements. And the short non-sign guidelines on signage, wall signs, and projecting blade signs.
Okay, can the applicants please state your name for the record?
Kevin McGinley.
And I'm Skip Weiler, real name's Robert J. Weiler Jr.
And can
I'm here for the second application. I actually work for Ted Roof. I'm their in-house architect. Don't know, I don't know if I can, these guys will be better to address the signage stuff, but anything outside of that we need to talk about, I'm available too, but I got some thoughts.
we're gonna keep these applications separate, but I appreciate the heads up there. And can we raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I swear.
Anything to add to the,
I did want to say, and I do apologize for kind of the last minute submission. I have some updated drawings here, a bit of corrected measurements, placement of the sign. I know if you'd like them, if you'd all like to pass through. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
and if you want to describe what those
Sure.
changes are.
Sure. So the number one thing, I think on this drawing, we did reduce the size of the sign a fair bit to try to accommodate the, I believe it's 12 square feet requirement. I have a number circled at the very top of the second page here. I believe the updated width is now 29.25 as opposed to, I think actually where it's saying 2 foot 9.25, that's a typo. It's supposed to be 29.25, not 2 foot 9. And as far as the heights of the sign, I did recall from our past discussion, I think we initially had it perhaps placed a little too high, that it was, maybe going a little too close to the second story window. So we have adjusted that to, I believe that is about 11 feet and coming down a little bit below the top window there. I think at the last meeting here, we had maybe revised it to 12 feet. So now it's at about 11 feet to try to accommodate that height request.
The picture still shows it above the window.
It might be, this is the picture I'm referring to.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah, I do apologize. There might be some kind of double
Gotcha.
submissions here. This drawing here isn't the most accurate. This one here is probably a bit better of a reference to use.
I'm with you.
But
Cool.
I think so the question about reducing the size of the sign, I did verify with the manufacturer. The size we currently have it, unfortunately, is probably the smallest we can realistically make it and keep it as is. Just because, you know, while the sign is all externally illuminated, there still is a fair bit going on in terms of wiring and connections and such on the inside of the sign. Just to make it smaller, the people who are physically building the sign would not really be able to fit all the wiring and connections properly into there if we were to make it smaller. I believe the reverse cloud cabinet, to clarify, reverse cloud is just kind of this specific sign company's term for faux neon. Instead of how this was originally, I think, proposed as the woman is almost a channel logo of sorts. Now she is essentially just a metal piece with a simulated white neon outline. Is there anything else?
Thank you. Commentary from the commission.
So are we clear if it fits within the guidelines now for area?
Yeah, what's the square footage?
I believe it is just under 12. Might be like 11.98 or something.
I think the only concern I have is just making sure we get a final set of drawings before this, the COA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not, well,
Yeah, so many changes.
yeah, the set of drawings that is currently on record.
Right. I guess the height we discussed.
Yeah, so I guess that would be the big question, that 138 inches, do we feel comfortable with scale wise that does put us as this drawing indicates?
Comfortable as in?
That the scale is correct. It's there.
I can verify that. I personally was not the one that made this drawing, but if that's something you would need to for a condition of approval, I can certainly verify.
Definitely, because it needs to be below sill of the second story windows, and right now, I don't have any confidence that it is.
Okay. It's not.
And there's too many questions of which height is it, there's multiple drawings that say where the bottom of it is, but multiple drawings that say
Where the
how tall it is, and then the elevations don't match either, so.
Well, I'm just, this has been historical with this property. We've done one-offs. We continuously do one-offs, and we've asked from the beginning that what is the big picture? What's the whole thing? What is the lighting, storefront, and all that stuff? So that's why I didn't want it separated in the first thing, because I want a picture that says this is what you're gonna do. These are how all the pieces come in, not I make a decision, then I gotta go back and I gotta look at this, and I gotta look at this. I think it's more helpful to look at it holistically. So that's my 2 cents.
There.
I don't have any other questions.
So I guess the question is, do we need to continue to see the updated information holistically or accurately? Or are we comfortable moving with the condition that is on 2 minutes?
Or subcommittee.
We can do a subcommittee. That's the quickest way to get it done.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable with that.
Subcommittee would allow us to approve conditionally, but have some eyes on the correct documentation on behalf of the commission to ensure that we're hitting the mark here.
Okay.
Great.
And just to be clear, the design of the sign we're generally okay with. It's the dimensions, both square footage of the sign and then height, both ways, which are in the guidelines. So just make sure it lines up with 10 feet and things like that. So, but I think design wise, otherwise.
Right. Yep.
I would also say, putting an example of what is it, a reverse cloud, like a picture of what that is would be helpful. So we can document it. It doesn't have to be this sign, but a picture of another sign that has reverse cloud or internal cloud, whatever it was called.
Okay. I can see what they can do for me. These it's a little hard to tell just because, you know, this is a custom made thing and it's, I'll see what I can try to find.
Because if it's just a neon outline, there's other things on this that are pro neon outline, but it has a very different, very specific description, which makes me think it's not just an outline.
Okay.
So like, still, do we want to give a recommendation on that, of the next set of drawings? Because right now they're at 11, it's 11.6.
I mean, the 10 feet's a minimum.
Right.
And I think it's less about the 10 feet, and more about the where it hits.
Right, well, that's what,
Because
yeah,
we're
at the top, it's still
yeah.
showing a little high and into the,
Yeah, we wanted set lower than.
yeah.
Somewhere between 10 and 11.
Yes,
Yes.
and what we need to see is an update of the drawing where it's attaching to the building and what those surfaces of the building are. That will tell us where it is.
And they need to be consistent throughout the packet.
Okay, any other comments?
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, motion to continue, or excuse me, motion on application BV 2401006 989 North High Street, to send the application to subcommittee for final approval. Who wants to be on the subcommittee?
Okay.
I will allow also. Anybody else? Okay. So, Commissioner Sprite, Schuler, and Shaw on the subcommittee.
And do we want to add in clarification on expectation?
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is to have an updated set of drawings with the height of the sign adjusted to fall between the two stories as we've discussed. And I think we're also looking to have that detail of that reverse cloud for whatever you can provide. Just make sure all your documents match each other.
Okay. Great. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then follow up with HBO staff on requested information. Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you.
It's just displayed something at the top.
Our next application is VV 24 01 008 at 1025 and 1029 Hunter Avenue. This is a request for action for new construction to construct a two-story single-family house with basement and punchable for the submitted drawings. The house would measure approximately 18 feet and 8 inches wide by 74 feet deep. And to construct two single-story garages. And including the comments from Westminster meeting from the last service application. At the business meeting, commissioners present noted that the design has come a long way since the first review. A few commissioners mentioned that the garages would benefit from some differentiation with them being so close to one another. One commissioner noted that having one with vertical siding or one with horizontal would be enough to differentiate them as two separate garages. The materials list was lacking any paint colors, and the commission requested that these be included in the packet. Whether the horizontal fence is appropriate was discussed by a few commissioners. It was noted by one commissioner that the fence is proposed for a new build development, and another mentioned that the fence sits quite far back behind the facades of the home. Commissioners also noted that the guidelines do not state that horizontal fences are not appropriate, and the decision needs to be based in code and guidelines. The drawings have been updated since the last review to show a lower roof pitch, different sizing to each garage, and lighting for the garages. The window well has also been moved to the rear on the south side of the property. The colours for the siding and trim have been updated and added to the material sheet. The roof pitch is now more appropriate in the context of the other homes on Hunter Avenue. The material for the front walkway and steps has yet to be specified. And the pavers for the surrounding the plunge pool have also yet to be specified. So staff recommends either continuation of application VV 24 01 008 to allow the applicant time to gather the additional information about the pavers and walkway services, or approval of the application with the following conditions. The material for the front walkway and steps be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. And the proposed pavers for the surround of the plunge pool to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. And the basis for this recommendation is 3116.12, standards for new construction. There's City Code Section 3116.13, standards for site improvements. And the Victorian Village Guidelines of new construction.
Okay, the applicant state your name for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Carrick Sherrill.
Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I certainly do.
Okay, great. Floor is yours.
I really don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
Nope. Thank you.
Comments from the commission.
I think the materials on the garage help. I would only say that maybe the single door, we might need a couple goosenecks. I mean, you have a little bit more height there over garage door lighting wise. That would be my only comment. And I also think that the paving materials and that stuff can come back for staff approval. I don't think they need to hold this, so. That's it for me.
So you want to make the gooseneck a requirement?
Yes, for the
As it's
things,
Wisconsin's.
Yeah.
Better.
and it'll help that elevate this
You're talking about replacing the soffit
one,
lights.
two,
The
nothing.
place that you saw. but-
Yeah, there's soffit lights there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Did we get clarification on the lot coverage?
Yes. The home. Oh, I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but I brought it in, last time. The home was around, 50%. And then with paving, I think we were around 60%. And then we, reduced the amount of solid paving and went to the stepping stones on the side of the house. And so that would have reduced it.
Do you have any thoughts yet on what the paving material will be?
In the front, it would be concrete. Around the pool, I would imagine it would be a fairly standard, unilock. Taupey toned, paver.
The ads from the. So I guess the question becomes.
Or not a
Approval for the, essentially the structure and follow up with the pavement material.
Yeah, I think that's.
And I guess with that, does that need to be, it doesn't need to be a separate application, but it, because it to be separated so we can get a certificate. Or otherwise, I think it has to be a, so they continue, but you're not going to give a certificate until we have that information, so. I suppose that could be subcommittee.
I'd be okay with staff approval.
I would just,
So it sounds like probably to get that information into staff before the certificate is issued.
That would be part of the construction documents that would be submitted to be stamped, and so they could be reviewed at that point, right?
Yes,
Okay,
preferably a cut sheet for the papers.
sure, yep.
okay,
Do I have a motion?
Sure, I'm rocking it. Let's see. Motion to approve application VV 2-24-01-008, 1025 and 1029 Hunter Ave with the following conditions. The soffit lights on the garage should be replaced with gooseneck lights above the garage doors. The material for the front walkway and steps must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the COA. And the proposed pavers for the surround of the plunge pool must be submitted for review also prior to the COA.
So before you go on second, are you okay with the change to the lights in the garage?
Yes,
Awesome, just wanted that on record.
I was gonna say that, but I figured my lack of concern about the conditions would have said that, but
I always like to check.
thank you, I
Sometimes you gotta say
appreciate
that.
that.
Dug our hole.
I just made an assumption.
I suppose probably a cut sheet.
Oh, yeah, cut sheet for the lights, that's, yes, thank you, as well, so the cut sheet for the light, the material for the front walk, and the proposed pavers for the front wall.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
great,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank you.
I'm gonna save us for a while, so enjoy your respite.
So onto our new applications. This is application DV 24-02-004 at 871 Neil Avenue. This is a request for action for new construction to remove the existing deck of stairs and replace with a new larger deck with new stair configuration posts and documentation. Install a new fire pit with stone surrounded pergola, that's in the drawings. Deck, patio, and pergola to be constructed from red cedar and stained with a Belspar transparent stain. At the business meeting, the commission is present, noted that decks are not preferred per the Victorian Village Handbook, and noted that the flat deck portion is very close to the ground and will be more appropriate if it were replaced with a patio system that was hardscaped. One commissioner noted that the deck could be replaced exactly as it exists today, but to expand the deck and reconfigure it would create a non-conformity with the guidelines. The commission noted that having the height above grade noted on each deck on the site plan would help them to understand the configuration. The commission requested that staff check to see if there are any historic COAs for the deck. The intermediary deck, including the stairs, does not seem approvable to the commission. In terms of precedent, it will be difficult for the commission to justify why enlarging and altering this deck is acceptable, and the commission encouraged the applicant to look into options in terms of hardscaping. There is no historic COA for the deck, with the earliest COA on file for this address appearing from 1978, but no drawings accompanied the COA. However, the current deck appears on a site plan from the COA issued in 1982, therefore staff will be supportive of the repair of the deck in its current configuration. Staff does not support the enlargement and reconfiguration of the wood deck, as the Victorian Village Handbook states that wooden decks that are visible from the street are not appropriate. And staff recommends the use of hardscaping materials to create patio on steps, to be in line with city code guidelines. Staff recommends continuation of application BB-24-02-004 at 871 Neil Avenue to allow the applicant time to bring the application in line with the applicable code guidelines. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.12, standards for new construction, and the Victorian Village Handbook on porches.
Yeah. Can the applicant state the name for the record, please?
Yes, I'm Mark McKenzie.
Joy McKenzie.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
You did?
I do.
Great. Anything that you want to add to the application in response to?
Yeah, a couple of comments. First, we would agree to change the lower deck to instead of wooden to pavers. So all we would be doing at the lower deck would be expanding it from the current 14 by 16 to 18 by 20, adding the fire pit and the pergola as was originally proposed. As far as the deck coming out of the stairway, we would defer that and remove it from this request at this point, but seek guidance on exactly what we can do there. The addition to the house, as you can see in that picture, was added in the 70s. Obviously, the steps had to be added into the 70s at the same time. It's a deck. That's a suburban type of addition. We have in the past requested the right to change the windows and change the siding and been denied on the basis that it's been there long enough to become historical. That deck is historical. Decks are historical on this house. unlike other homes on Neal Avenue, our door does not go out the back. It comes out the side. So we cannot build a porch like every other house has. The door comes out the side and there is a bay window. You can see right there that would preclude the building of a porch with a roof on the thing. So we're wondering what the commission thinks we can do to alter those steps. In our proposal, we had a larger deck coming out there with separate steps coming down to the street and out into the one onto the patio, as you can see right there. And we propose making that out of cedar and staining it. Is the staining the problem? Would it be suitable if it was made out of non-regular wood and painted? We can't put a roof over it. We can't make it into a porch. What can we do with that? And we'd like some advice, other than saying we can't do what we want to do.
Understand. Absolutely. So going back to, you mentioned the thought of maybe the on-grade would be a paver.
Yes.
And then what was your suggestion again for the steps themselves, or that's where you're looking?
We're going to leave it. We're not going to touch them right now because we don't have any idea what we can do that would satisfy the commission.
Go back to the elevation that has the bay, the actual picture of the entrance with the steps and the bay window.
The first page.
I mean, the trick about this and the architectural puzzle is you're trying to do two or three things, actually. You're trying to create a step out that you can step out onto.
Right.
But you're also trying to go one direction and another direction in the same way, which is kind of a hard thing to do. And that 70s trick really helped it because there were steps anywhere you wanted to go. I think what you have to think about are the formal ways a door and steps address a house and a yard or a side yard. I don't know what those are. I mean, we have architects in the room that, that can talk about that. But I think you're going to have to break it down in those pieces and figure out what those options might be to address that, or go back to replacing those steps in kind and figuring out what maneuvers you're going to have to do for that thing to meet code, to bring it out a foot or 2 feet or whatever it is. I think that would be my quick look at it. And obviously we have other.
I guess, because he's right, you can't put a roof on it like you would a porch because there's too many other things in the way. It doesn't, and it wouldn't make sense. I would say one thing would be to make it look closer to being a porch would be, rather than come out, the proposed plan has you come out a step and then go down 2 steps, which honestly, I don't think will meet code. So just a heads up, because you have to have a landing.
We've already had the code people look at it and they've approved it.
Okay. Maybe that's a big disappointment. But I would say, raising it up so it is more on level with the interior, or maybe 1 step down, like a typical porch would be.
Again, the problem is you run into that bay window as you come out the door. You really have to come down a couple of steps
Well,
to get past that bay window.
it's still a good 24 to 30. I mean, the sill of your door, assuming that's at your foot level, is still 24 inches at least below your bay window on that first picture.
So do we have a picture where we're looking at the bay directly?
There should be one there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see where that larger top landing is now? If all of it was that height, had a railing around it, and then you had flights of steps, one going to the backyard, one going to the street.
Would
That
that
are
be,
actually like
So what you're talking, so that,
which is closer to what they're proposing,
and it's
but it's
also,
raising it up.
yeah, but it's also closer to like
I guess.
old Tudors and stuff like that, an outside porch terrace that addressed a
Yeah.
proper way to go to the garden, a
You,
proper way to go to the
but
side.
in a million ways you can go, you can go this way or you can go this way.
And actually, that would be nice because you'd have your center line of your modern windows, then you have your center line of your bay. That porch would be under it. You'd have a set of stairs going down this way, and then you'd have a set of stairs going down this way with some type of wall on that corner piece.
Yeah,
To
so
that would
it'd
actually,
be similar to almost what they have proposed in the pencil sketch, difference being all the steps would be on the outer part of it. There would be no steps between the main deck and the patio doors. So it would get raised up somewhere.
yeah.
So the deck itself goes up,
It goes up.
and you have more steps coming down.
Does that make sense, you guys?
I
Or
understand what you're saying, but that would still constitute being a deck. Is that gonna be
My
objectionable?
question. So what?
Well, I think it would look like something different than a deck. I think it would be more formal, like a wall.
It would completely come
Step.
down to what is the edge treatment of it? What
Yeah.
has the railing detail? You know, is it a wall? Is it a railing? If it is a railing, you know, what detail? Because you have a unique house. It has
Yeah.
Tudor plus 1970s. It's a delicate balance.
Which again plays in your favor because if it is a piece of the house, you have those two materials. It could be a brick wall topped or it could be wood because we have those two materials working on that facade. It's just how you choose.
Would a railing be acceptable around it?
I don't know.
I'm
not sure. I think
it could. I mean, you really do
gonna have to
have a
go
lot.
through a couple sketches and look at, you know, what makes the most sense.
So can someone clarify for me with the existing layout, what part doesn't meet code? This is beyond my skills.
With the layout as it is
As it
currently
is
built,
today, yes.
I don't know that anything there does, well, other than the steps here uneven.
Right, they're uneven, that uneven tread height, which could be changed if you were to replace all of that, right? But is there anything else wrong with, inherently wrong with that?
No, I think she was saying in the drawing, there's something that doesn't meet code.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, well, because we had, at the
The very-
business meeting, we had discussed the current setup.
At least how it's drawn,
But also
The
the width of
overall
those
plan,
steps, you wouldn't have to have a railing between, even though you have two side rails with the angles of those steps.
yeah, the lack of railings on the current one, but it'd be grandfathered. You know, if it had a permit pulled before and it was approved, as long as you don't change it, then it is still code compliant.
So
I don't know the 1970s building, residential building code.
why not? What's wrong with it? I appreciate your point that the deck is historical by the guidelines technically. So I'm actually warming to that idea. But I guess the question I would have for you guys is, is the layout as is is that a deal breaker for you? Like if we said, you know, we knew this layout, just, you know, tweak it so the steps are the same height, and then you make the rest of the yard the hardscaping that we talked about. Is that something that you'd be amenable to?
I would be amenable to, at this point, ignoring that deck and just approving the patio replacement. And then if we decide to do something later with the deck, we resubmit it.
Yeah, I mean, we can split the application.
Yes.
Not a problem. So,
And I agree that this is a unique case with that addition, that this element that's an extension of that expansion of the house, I think there's an argument for it to maintain with that material.
it's a 70s deck on a 70s house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's a 70s edition.
Addition,
Oh,
yes, that's what I mean. Not that one.
Maybe 1870s.
But I think there is a solution in the things that we talked about that bring it together. There are, you know, aren't gonna cost you an arm and a leg. And it's really gonna tie the house with this new backyard scaping, and it's really gonna make the thing sing.
Is there any objection to the increased size of the deck as we've proposed it? Assuming we do the other things, raise the level up.
It makes sense, honestly, it makes more sense than what's there now.
I would kind of like to see that first level respond to the back edge of the building, that first level response to that versus sticking out proud. And
This one, well, it's
Yeah.
responding to the pond.
yeah, I guess that's true. Well,
It's more useful this way.
yeah,
Pretty big.
but it does get big. I'd rather see it pull out to
Like go out to
first
the
prominent
end,
edge.
Yeah.
Just fill in that hole. Yep.
But I mean, if for now they want to pull all that out,
Yeah, they're not even looking at
It's a
that.
better
They're looking at the extended pavers
yeah.
and that, replacing the deck and making it bigger.
So from the pond this way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess our recommendation would be to submit a revised plan, leaving the steps deck part as is.
Or break it into two things where they're doing it.
And in that plan, change the deck that's close to the ground to hardscape. I guess, do you want, the rest of it split as a separate application, or you want to come back to it at a whole nother time?
I won't come back to it a whole nother time. It's gonna take a little while to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to be able to move forward with the patio part of the deck.
I mean, my only commentary there is that the patio portion does respond to where those stairs hit.
Yeah.
So I suppose we could approve it as shown, but
Well, it would still need the drawing needs revised, because the lower part still says it's red cedar deck.
yeah, she's saying resubmit the application.
Yeah, so we need updated drawing.
With materials.
Just for the patio itself?
Yeah.
Is that something that could be approved by the staff, or does it need to go through a whole commission hearing?
They go to
Second meeting, maybe.
I think we know, we're looking, sometimes that can be,
Slow, just a slow, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so speaking for myself, I think I'm comfortable as long as we get to know what the materials are
Yeah.
to make that decision today. I just, okay.
so I guess we're saying we could do a subcommittee, which would be a few of us representing the commission to review revised materials that are provided without come back to the full
Okay.
hearing.
Well, I'm saying I think we could take it a step farther, right? If the rest of the.
Saying we're okay with what they're proposing for the hardscape, we just need to know what the materials are.
Right,
Nothing
and
to
if
do
you
with
could
the-
approve that piece today.
So you just,
So then it would just be staff approval,
Yeah, for the materials.
and it needs to have a revised drawing.
It does need it, yes. Yes. But if you got, I mean, if you guys want to see how that plays with the existing deck and make sure that that's good, I mean, we can do a subcommittee.
Yeah, I just know that we're gonna see that.
Right,
I think it has to be a revised drawing that's responding to the existing deck, if that's not going to change. Yeah, materials, how to respond to it.
so.
I can find another way. But
Yeah. Any strong feelings from the staff?
I will just note that we haven't spoken about the pergola yet. If the commission would like to discuss that before we make a decision.
So the pergola is,
It's over the lower patio.
Was there any specific staff concern about the pergola?
Um,
they have an issue.
Yeah.
Looks like a pergola.
Great.
try not to be too tricky.
It's cedar. Great.
Whatever you guys are most comfortable with. So,
So staff approval or something.
Looking at you, Tim. to make a
I
final
know,
call.
I know. This is back of the house. Staff approval is I'm okay with on the material.
Material and revised.
And the drawing.
Drawing, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I think we do.
Motion.
Yeah.
That's all you.
Yeah, I'm tough. That's not that bad. So motion on application BV 24 02 004 871 Neil Ave. To approve the application as submitted with the following conditions. That the existing tiered deck structure against the house will be removed from the application and will remain as is. The lower deck area that was proposed will become a hardscaped area with those materials to be provided to staff prior to issuance of a COA. And all the drawings must be updated as well and provided to staff to show those changes prior to the COA. Get it?
Yeah, I would ask too on the drawings that the pergola, and it shows up in plan view of where those posts fall, just so it's clear.
So amend the motion to make sure that the posts for the pergola are noted on the site plan specifically.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other commentary? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So application number 5 is VV 24 2 005 at 705 North High Street. This is a request for action for signage. A code violation has been issued for installation of the roof of this property. And the proposed work is to install a new wall sign on the storefront elevation for submitted materials. The proposed wall sign is to be 32 inches by 120 inches. And the sign currently has aluminum channel letters with clear acrylic trim spaces, those are vinyl, and internal illumination. At the business meeting, the commission requested that staff look into the rooftop signage provided as an example by the applicant. It was noted by the commission that the sign is too large for the short design guidelines. The commission has also mentioned that internal illumination is not allowed per the short design guidelines and recommended that the applicant look into halo lighting or for neon lighting for signage elements. It was understood by the commission that the awning posed an issue with visibility, and relocating the sign above the awning to negate the need for internal illumination was suggested by the commission. Though there was some concern that this would reduce the pedestrian nature of the signage as desired in the shop. The signage at Brewdog was approved to be neon channel letters rather than internally illuminated. The applicants informed staff that they would be open to applying an opaque vinyl to the face of the sign, so the sign would only glow from the edges to create a halo-lit effect. Staff can be supportive of this modification, as long as the vinyl is completely opaque and does not allow any glow from the face. Although the sign cabinet is larger than 25 square foot per the short design guidelines, it is comparable in size to the previously approved Del Mar signage. Therefore, staff can support the larger size of the sign cabinet. Staff recommends approval of application BV-24-02-005 with the following condition: that a completely opaque vinyl is applied to the face of the sign to create a halo-lit effect with no glow from the face of the sign. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.13, Standards for Site Improvements, and the short non-design guidelines on signage and wall signs.
Can the applicant state your name for the record, please?
Absolutely. I'm Randy Reverdy. I'm the Director of Design and Architecture for Cameron Mitchell.
And I'm Rebecca Green. I'm here on behalf of Columbus Signs.
Sure. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Anything to add to the application?
Absolutely. Just to clarify kind of how we got where we're at, so you can hear it from us. So we previously operated Del Mar at this location, and we went through a rebrand last month. The sign is actually in the same location on the same support system, and it's the same exact size. When we went to design to Columbus Sign to discuss the rebrand, they proposed the new face illuminated sign, and then we were basically told it was approved, and we proceeded. And so it was installed, and hence where we're at now. So given where we're at, and some of the surrounding context, we would prefer to not apply the film to the face and to leave it as is. So that would be our preference if you were agreeable to that. It is obscured by the canopy itself, so you do not even see the sign really until you're up on it. So the face illuminating it is partially blocked in the first place. So that being said, just wanted to give a quick overview of how we got where we're at and to kick off the discussion.
Thank you. Commentary from the commission. I'm supportive of what staff has recommended. It will be a slippery slope to allow without the vinyl coating, even given the condition of it, just, setting a precedent for future applications.
How does Brewdog fall into that and some of the other signs we referenced that are already faceable?
That Brewdog violated their COA, it sounds like, right? So they may have a new problem.
Okay.
The other ones I don't believe were internally illuminated.
Right.
We do have the awning is a significant factor in that even with the translucent base illumination on this sign, it's really challenging to see it.
Well, I mean, if you remember, in our meeting, we had the opportunity that we would entertain the idea of putting it above on the flat awning.
That actually ends up even worse than pedestrians don't even know where entry is. I mean, if you put the sign above and you're walking down the sidewalk, there's zero signage for the restaurant at that point. So it's a very challenging condition given the nature of this building. So we've always struggled with this sign. You don't see it here when you're driving down the street. And if you put it above, we studied it in 3D in our model, and you don't see it when you're walking. So it's shooting yourself in the foot either way type of scenario. And this particular solution, it helped improve that challenge.
The prior signage was it was halo lit and very difficult to see through the awning.
I mean, I guess it's a catch-22. Architecturally, I see it when I'm driving. I see it from across the street. When I'm on the street now, everyone does this. It's right here. So it's half dozen one, half dozen of another.
Well, the guidelines would say that it needs to be pedestrian oriented.
Right.
Correct. So that.
But what is pedestrian orientation today? So.
Yeah, we obviously operate a lot of restaurants, and having that immediate visibility of your signage adjacent to the entry is key to a successful restaurant.
Marking your entrance is very important for a pedestrian area. It's obviously a pedestrian area.
Entry confusion even would become an issue if we were to put it above.
We probably approved those. Be careful.
Different discussion.
They were approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a challenging factor to deal with.
I guess I'll speak for myself. I'm worried also about the precedent, right? We get ourselves into trouble.
It's a very clear line of no internally illuminated signs.
Right.
But
if you want to rat out your neighbors.
Does the unique conditions of this application not affect that decision?
No, not on the guidelines.
But if you're approving it because it has a unique condition, though, it doesn't change that fact.
But the awning can be removed, and then what do you have?
Can the awning be removed without your approval?
Probably shouldn't be, but it could be. Yeah. And people also install signs that aren't approved, so.
I'd also like to throw in, it could be removed without approval. Would somebody report it to 311? So we'd have a code violation and still wind up back here? That's also.
Or it could easily, they could come in and say, hey, we want to remove the awning, and that, I could see that happening on that. I mean, I don't see anything detrimental to doing that at all, which solves both of your problems. You know, it's not like you're taking all three of them and leaving one. One is a sort of a centerpiece and the other says door and the others are covering windows. I could see that awning over the door being removed. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I could go all over there.
It's not
So,
an application.
Yeah, I'm like, I think we're
I
getting
think it's tough to remove one and make the others.
Yeah, you're getting a little.
I don't know. Architecturally, I don't think it makes a difference. You're talking about storefronts. I
This
mean,
is
they're
still,
separate storefronts.
sorry.
Yeah.
I still think it's a unique condition. The awning, I've not seen that kind of application, a sign underneath an awning, that kind of application within the Short North area before. It does present a different kind of hardship that we are suffering because that awning exists.
So this is where we go back to everything we say, holistic applications. What's your lighting? What are your awnings? What are your signage versus doing the one-offs? And this happens to be a special condition because of the architectural nature of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, no one caused that, but the owner and the former tenant, and now you. So it's hard to call it a special condition when it would be different if this was an architectural building and those things were there and we had to save those and then we had to work with the signage to
Was
make
a
it work.
historic condition. These are definitely, if it was a historic condition, it would be something different. These
Yeah.
are obviously a modern intervention.
Yeah,
I guess, to put it another way, so is that if this came to us as an application with awnings and a sign like this initially, we would say, no, you have to change X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah.
But here we are now in the situation where, okay, we have this set of circumstances.
Okay, so we have maybe recognition of a unique situation, but I don't know if there's any change in thinking. I think it's just there's too much of a precedent here
Yep.
that it was said. I think you could also argue that that can't be, there are other ways of lighting, getting light to that sign so it's visible, not through the internal illumination. So that's just kind of what we're against with guidelines.
Okay, so we will film the face. Sounds like we're receptive to that solution. To create the halo effect.
yes.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
Motion for BB 2402005705 705 North High Street. That's proposed. As proposed from staff recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that clear enough for the record? The motion is for the staff recommendation. Treatment. Okay, any other commentary? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
And now our next application is BB 2402-006 at 965 North High Street. And this is a request for action for signage to install a new blade sign and window sign for the submitted documentation and install new vinyl graphics for the submitted documentation. At the business meeting, the commission noted that both the wall sign and the projecting sign would be appropriate for the short north design guidelines. It was noted that the window signs appeared too busy and the commission recommended that these be reduced if possible. Staff supports both the wall sign and the projecting sign as they are. Staff recommends that the window graphics be reduced to 6 square feet or less per storefront. We do have some new drawings that were provided earlier this week. But the window graphics still exceed 6 square feet per storefront. Staff recommends splitting this application into VV 24-02-006A for the wall sign and the projected sign, and then VV-24-02-006B for the window graphics as follows. To approve application VV 24-02-006A, 965 North High Street for the wall sign and projecting sign as submitted, with any and all clarifications submitted to HBO staff prior to issuance of certificate. And continue application VV-24-02-006B to allow the applicant time to revise the window graphics to be in line with city code and the short lot design guidelines. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.13, standards for site improvements, and the short lot design guidelines on signage, wall signs, projecting blade signs, and window signs.
Can the applicant state your name again, please?
Rebecca Green.
Yep, you're already sworn in, so you're good there. Anything to add to the?
I just said, thank you for letting us submit those drawings a little late. The project manager was sick with the flu, so. This is, I appreciate all the comments and the support on the wall sign and projecting sign, and then I understand, and I'm being allowed to go ahead and revise the window graphics. Is there a way that we can get a conditional approval on the window graphics? If they're.
So we have two pieces here, I guess. Let's discuss the wall.
Yeah, we want to split this so everyone's okay with.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's okay with that.
The thick signage.
So moving on to the window graphics, I guess the discussion is, do we need to separate it or close enough with the revised application for staff approval on that? And I think the recommendation for splitting them is to allow certificate of the one piece and continued discussion.
So what you were saying,
With respect to the second or the
the,
part B, can we
the
go ahead?
window signage, not the fixed signage.
That's correct.
Reducing the square footage of it. So you
Correct.
guys have a proposal to reduce it to where it needs to be, or?
I don't have a proposal right now, but we're looking to reduce it again further, yes.
Mm. So I guess probably the best thing to do is do what the recommendation is split it A, B. We approve the hard signage, and then you come back with your reductions. And if it's,
If the reductions are within 6 square feet per storefront, are we okay with that going to staff approval?
I would be,
Yes.
so
Let's do that.
that's an option you guys have.
Very good. Understood.
Okay,
Okay with that?
so what
So
do
we keep it as one then with that condition?
No,
Yeah.
2.
What do we need?
One we approve, the other one goes to staff.
Correct. Okay.
Yep. Okay, with it. Do a motion.
Yeah, I got it. So we're splitting this application into two applications. So motion on application VV-24-02-006A, which is for the fixed signage, for the blade sign and the wall sign. We will approve that as submitted.
I think we stop there for a vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So section A passes. And do I have a motion for section B?
Yeah. Motion on application VV-24-02-006, 965 North High Street, Part B, for the window signage, that will be sent for staff approval to ensure that that the revised plans meet the guidelines for square footage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes for continuation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seconded.
We have two. Give me one.
Next application is VV-24-02-007 at 1035 Hunter Avenue. This is a request for action for new construction to rotate the garage roof and construct 2 shed dormers to create a second story on the garage per submitted documentation. I have included the comments from the November 8th meeting when we had this conceptually. At the business meeting, the commissioners present appreciated the feedback from the previous conceptual review was taken on board and had no additional feedback for me. at this time. The windows for the proposal are now all rectangular casements in response to previous feedback from the commission. Staff recommends that the siding be painted rather than stained to protect the structure from moisture penetration per the short design guidelines for paint. And staff notes that a cut sheet for the skylights, proposed shingle, the same colour for the sides, and could be yet to be specified. Staff recommends approval of application VV-24-02-007, 1035 Hunter Avenue, with any and all verifications submitted to staff prior to issuance. And the basis for this recommendation is 3116.12, standard for new construction. And the Victorian Village Handbook guidelines on siding, dormers, and the short and design guidelines on paint.
Okay, great. Can the applicant state your name for the record, please?
Dean Burlon.
You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay. Anything to add to the chair?
I don't think anything to add.
What are they doing with all those other windows you're going to incorporate?
I'm happy that we were able to simplify, so.
It looks great.
Yeah. Seems pretty straightforward. Any comments from the commission?
We want to address any staff's concerns. It was paid, was probably the main.
Since the lower level is stained, if we could do a solid stain and kind of also maybe solid stain the lower level, it might help blend everything together, so.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I agree.
Anything else? Make a motion for BB-24-02-007 and 35 Hunter Avenue. It's proposed. And with a caveat that they're going to work with solid stain to melt the old with the new.
Make sure you include the word melt.
We are, we still need the skylights and the shingles and the stain color as well.
Yep. Cut sheet for skylights and. Yeah. Good.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can.
We got that. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and it has this. We have a registered statement for application. The next application is VV-24-02-008 at 989 North High Street. This is a request for action for exterior building alteration to replace a portion of the existing stock with materials, repair a portion of the existing storefront with materials, install mechanical equipment and associated screening for documentation, and reopen an egress door on the addition to the rear of the property. At the business meeting, the commission had some concerns about some development aspects of the project, such as parking, noise, and breaking up the storefront. It was requested to see an elevation that includes the building on the corner of North High Street and Worcester Avenue. The commission requested clarification for the windows, door, and storefront. There are many differing materials, including repairing what exists, replacing in like kind, and replacing with aluminum clad windows. It was noted that a replacement in like kind would mean wood to wood and not wood to aluminum clad. A spec sheet for the door to be reopened was requested. The commission also requested to see historic photographs of the property if these exist. The commission asked if the transom windows will be or are currently glazed, as right now they appear to not be open. Accurate details and the removal of information that is not relevant was requested. The earliest photograph that HBO has on file is from the 80s, and it shows the first floor of the building with stucco with brickwork. A COA to restore the first floor storefront was approved in 1990 and is the same configuration as what currently exists. Drawings have been updated to reflect the current proposal. The storefront windows are proposed to be repaired on the right side of the front elevation and replaced on the left. The applicant informed staff that the drawings have been updated to reflect the screening required by code for the mechanical equipment on the rear of the property. Staff is unsure of whether the mechanical equipment screening will be visible from the street. It would be helpful to see a roof plan and perspective renderings to see how the mechanical equipment will be placed and its visibility from street level. Staff recommendation is continuation of application VV 24-02 008 at 989 North High Street to allow the applicant time to gather additional information about the mechanical equipment screening. The basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116-11, standards for alteration, and the Victorian Village Handbook on storefront rehabilitation.
We do commentary first or the,
Do applicants first, then speakers, then commission comments.
can the applicant state your name for the record, please?
Yes, Michael Rutland, I'm Teneriffe's in-house architect.
Jim Spiegel, Vice President, Robert Weiler Company.
Okay. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Anything that you would like to add to the application?
On the, as I've gone through the drawings recently, and we kind of hurried to get through this revised set in for the meeting. I noticed that our architect, because my instructions to our architect was like for like, we just, even the color, we recently opened a location in French Quarter in New Orleans, so we know the pain of going through approvals, and we want to do whatever, you guys want us, tell us to do for that storefront to match existing. So I noticed that on the, on their window detail, it shows, on the window, a, manufactured window. And that's not like for what we're looking at. And on your photos, it looks like the storefront, the original storefront frame are just 2x. That's just a standard 2x with trim and a storefront glass on the front of it with trim on the outside, painted all wood. That's our intent. That's the 80s photo, I think, the new series of photos. Yeah. The only difference in that, yeah, there's some good examples right there. The only difference that we would be doing is adding a pane of glass on the inside. That's probably, I think, a 2x6 they frame those out with, that they have the frames, and it has a pane of glass on the front right now, just a single pane, adding a pane of glass on the inside to create an air gap in order to handle sound issues, in order to do our best to keep to prevent sound from getting out to the street. And I guess the only other thing to add is there have been a series of emails from neighbors coming to you guys about, I guess, concerns about noise complaints and things like that, especially mentioning a patio in the back. We have no intention, and it's not even in our lease, the patio area in the back, to have anything outside of our space. And we're actually taking a lot of care in making sure that there is no sound bleed outside of our space. If you'll see in the pictures at the back that show a set of windows, because we understand that we can't really block any of those, we can't alter any of those windows or doors in the back, at least for one exit. Yeah, that photo right there, the set of doors and windows to the right there on that extension coming out. With the exception of one of those doors, which we are required to have by code to have as an exit, the rest of those doors and windows, because we've assumed that you wouldn't want those altered, that we're just building a new wall on the inside that we will insulate, and in order to double layer of drywall, sound bat insulation to make sure to prevent even any noise coming out of that back from affecting the neighbors. So that's, and then as far as the street goes, that's what we're trying to do, the same thing for the street with that double pane of glass to come in to prevent sound for as much as we can, as far as in order to meet ordinances in the area and hopefully exceed those to prevent any kind of sound outside of that. That's it.
And we have a speaker. So if you'd like to step up to the podium, please. So you can state your name for the record, please.
Eric Giolio,
19 West Star Ave. Okay, great. And if you can raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Okay, great. You have, once you begin, you have 3 minutes. Floor is yours.
Thanks. Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the West Star Avenue Condo Association. Our 116-year-old townhomes sit directly adjacent and partially enveloped by this property. First, we would like to sincerely thank this commission for encouraging dialogue between the parties involved here, and also to Tin Roof for accepting that invitation. I'm personally encouraged by Tin Roof's willingness to discuss their plans with us and their openness to listen to our concerns. They have shown a level of professionalism and empathy that I remain hopeful the property owner at this location will one day emulate. As to the specifics of this proposal, it remains my contention that the ground floor walk-in apartments at the back of this building should remain residential, and any deviation from that is inconsistent with the mission to preserve, protect, and enhance our neighborhood. After all, as we are all aware, there's a housing crisis in Central Ohio, not a crisis of insufficient labor and entertainment establishments. Furthermore, retaining these residential spaces would give this property a much needed option for those with mobility issues, which is how these walk-in apartments were used prior to the current owner. In the end, whatever the outcome for this space, the bottom line for myself and my condo association is to ensure that this location does not harm the quality of life of our residents and our beloved townhomes. This requires fully containing noise and events within the interior of this venue. I'd like to add that the site architect is under the impression that no changes can be made to the windows and doors at the back of the building. But since these items do not appear to be original or contributing, that's likely not the case. And as such, I ask that you help clarify this point, and if appropriate, permit Tin Roof to replace any non-contributing components that would allow them to simultaneously improve noise control and aesthetics. While I appreciate the screening of the roof house utilities, I wonder if the roof of the first floor apartment is the best location for them, and have concerns about the noise that might be generated from the utilities in this location of hard spaces, which includes a 3-story featureless concrete wall directly behind it. At this time, we respectfully ask any commissioner that has not personally been to the space behind this building to do so before making any formal decisions, and that you table any approvals for this request to allow my association and our other concerned neighbors more time to continue our discussions with Tin Roof. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. So on to commission dialogue. So I think there may be 3 things at play here. The storefront treatment, the mechanical equipment, as staff has highlighted, and then the noise, sound, first floor treatment, to whatever capacity that we can comment on that. So do we want to start with storefront?
Yeah, and the storefront drawings will need to be resubmitted.
Yeah, I love the comments. You're from New Orleans, you know what they don't mess around with people. If it says in like, it gets done in
Right.
like. So I think we're okay
Yeah.
on that level.
Yep.
A change in color view.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just tell us the color,
But-
paint it, I want to leave here. That's
So
it.
I think we're okay with the story.
Okay. How about the mechanical equipment and the need for more information?
I do think a roof plan would be very helpful. One thing I would encourage looking at is, right now, these are visually screening panels. They do make acoustic baffle screens for mechanical units that go on roofs.
Yeah, so this is my 2 cents. We talk about pedestrian, everyone's looking up,
We need a
the
separate.
environment is changing rapidly. There are a lot of people looking down. And it seems it's willy-nilly. So you look at your neighbor and there's, 56 condenser units that you have to look down on. So I think it really does need to be thought about noise-wise, design-wise, and aesthetics from what I see from above, because all around you are high-rise buildings.
For pedestrians, a sightline study would be helpful.
Yeah.
And if you have any recommendations on a manufacturer that you like, we'll be happy to look at it as far as sound. There is no other location to put them, like, can't put them directly on the ground. So they have to go on the roof, one of the roofs, at some point.
Which is to accommodate what you're doing inside.
Yeah.
So, when this commission first started, we would have to do an original side chimney that had to go up so I could have a pizza oven. Well, this stuff is going way overboard of HVAC and filtration and all this stuff because you want to do, so for a building, architectural building, we would say there's too much program in this. You're trying to get too much out of this because this is an end result. So this is a new thing that we're have to look at and talk about and have discussions about because you just can't say, oh, look at the storefront. Oh, don't look up there. There's, we've taken down 3 chimneys. We've added this, we've added that. But at the storefront, here's Disneyland. So I think these are the things that this commission needs to consider as they go down the road.
The manufacturer you have does have a sound block option.
Okay.
It's in the material.
And again, this is, you probably think I'm grumpy, but we've been round and round and round and round and round on this building. And every time we see it, I mean, we looked at these drawings need to be edited because there's so much information on them that isn't consistent with what we're trying to do. It's just been added and added and added. It's hard to say what you're gonna do or what you're not gonna do.
Just to clarify, were there questions on the storefront?
I think we're okay with this.
I think we're
Okay.
okay with this.
Yeah, like for like.
Propose a color that makes sense, is compatible with the building.
What's your thoughts on making it, we just did the building, I don't know if you have a photo, but that's attached to it, which is the 995 to 1001. We just did that storefront that you all approved and painted it, your approved color. Can we just mirror that?
I think it was a black color or something like that, whatever that match was. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know what it actually is.
I think it's black, yeah.
it's called Caviar, Sherwin-Williams. It's like a dark, it's like a dark charcoal black. But that's what,
Which is another color.
yeah, it's real close to iron ore. As a matter of fact, the railing that we put on the other roof across, if you go back to that back photo, which is where the condensers are for the residential units, we were required to do a railing and wanted that painted iron ore. So that's what that is. So they're close in color.
With the mechanical units, just to clarify, because we don't get into the interior, but, there's 2 floors of residential in between where the mechanical units are and what they're feeding. It's not, there's no ductwork going down the backside of the building, correct? Okay.
No,
So somehow you're feeding it through those.
There's one unit on the roof that feeds existing chases along the side. And then everything else are mini splits. So,
and like condensers for an ice machine.
yeah,
Not
condensers,
necessarily HVAC systems.
yeah, all condensate lines that run through the building.
Just double check.
Yeah.
And so the other piece of the back piece, which again, we've been around with this, originally came in as a back patio, all, with outside speakers and all that kind of stuff. You're not doing that.
Nope.
But we're gonna have to keep going around unless the owner says, you're the tenant, you don't have any. The owner has to say, is that going back to parking? What's gonna happen with that? And this is where I talk about how we look at something holistically versus parts and pieces. Versus, oh, we'll get past this piece and then all of a sudden up comes the back garden. So what do you guys, is that gonna become parking again?
The patio?
Yeah.
No, that never was parking. When it was residential, it was like a brick paver. We just, obviously during construction, redid that, with concrete. You see the 2 circles on the ground are actually the grease cleanouts for a proposed future kitchen. So we already ran all that underground, so that way it wouldn't be on the exterior of the building at a later date. We've already ran the exhausts, for kitchen hoods during construction, original construction, which go to the third floor roof, so that's also all enclosed already. So there won't be anything exterior done. I don't know what you'd like to do to the back, but like Eric said, that back addition isn't historic. We replaced the windows on the left side, which you see are the black windows, with a soundproof Pella window that was approved during construction, which is also in the upper levels. So I'm not opposed to putting those on that side either. I don't know if you need to keep all the doors. I think it would help as a sound barrier to get rid of the doors. We also bricked in some doors on the back of the building, on the back of both buildings, actually. So I think bricking in a couple of doors if you don't need them would help, to be honest. But I know that's not even proposed, just my 2 cents.
And also the last time around, and I know it's not part of this, but, parking and variances and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think we've met all those. We actually redid the parking lot for the city request. Just restriped it and did a different layout that was approved by them to be within where we needed to be.
Okay.
Okay, any other commentary about the noise? I think we've answered, there is no patio.
I guess my question, like, they proposed building a wall in front of the windows in the back to help with noise, which makes sense. Normally, walling over a window on the inside, we are not a fan of. Are we okay with it in this case?
So historically, we've had a lot of homes that.
Yeah, usually it's a house thing.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is,
So I guess commercially, from the outside, the facade is not changing at all.
well, except for when you look in the window, we should talk about what the window side of that wall is, because you
It's all.
don't want to look in and just see bad insulation.
Well, I mean, and that's either it's been mirrored or it's been painted, so when you look at it, it looks and it appears like a window you can't.
Right,
see.
exactly, but that needs to be clarified.
Yes.
Yes, and that's what we are doing. We black it out on the end side, either with a heavy tint, a mirror, or a mirror tint, or just blacking out with paint, but make it look good. I mean, but make it to where it looks like just windows, and then I'm just right on the inside of that would be the sound back wall.
Okay. Any other comments?
I just say go through some of the keynotes don't match what they're pointing to, so for the next round, double check.
Yes, kind of revise those, get rid of that, put it in the
all
right
the-
detail. Architect's not listening to me, what can I say?
Okay. So I think
Motion to continue.
we're at a point where there's enough information that needs to change on the drawings that.
We give you the more time, you can go through
Into a
it, hopefully
continuation.
talk to the neighbors a little
Yes.
bit more and have some conversation, but move forward.
Just to be clear, have we answered the question whether we'd be okay with them bricking in those windows or not?
I would say better to build a sound, for future use, it'd be better to build a sound home.
Okay, just want to make sure we're giving guidance there.
Same with the doors. You want to keep the doors as well?
Yeah, I mean, you can also cover, except for the one you're using.
That door that's open in the photo, and then the door on the side there closest to us, those will be operable doors. The one that's open right now, we plan to build a vestibule on the inside of that. So that will also help with sound, anybody coming in and out of that. But operationally, which I'm just the architect, I'm just in construction, but operationally, we're very sensitive. We want to be, good neighbors. We know that leaving those open and getting complaints aren't going to help us. We actually have terms in the lease as far as quiet enjoyment of the neighbors. So we're actually installing a floating ceiling, not that this has anything to do with that, but just general information, that are on springs to kind of help with sound transmission through the ceiling. So we are doing everything we can to get along with the neighbors.
In that vein, I guess I would just ask, and I don't want to get us too off track, but what other purposes, I mean, we said, what is the patio going to be used for, but I don't, where are the dumpsters for this building, and where are you going to get received deliveries and that type of thing?
Dumpsters are at the back of the parking lot,
Okay,
closest
right
to the alley.
Okay,
Just to the right in this photo, if the turn around.
okay.
And the deliveries, I would assume they come in through the back. I don't know about, I'm not operations, so I don't know what typically.
There is a delivery, like a delivery zone area, which is technically in front of the White Castle building. But I guess that would probably be delivery area or the back. You're not gonna get too big of a truck in there, but, or the back, I guess.
Yeah, that'd have to be.
Because directly in front of our building, there's no parking. They extended the street, the sidewalk.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do we have a motion?
Sure. Motion to continue application BV 2402008, 989 North High Street.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So onto our final application. This is a simple application. This is BV 24-02-009 at 148 Price Avenue. Conceptual application, new construction to construct a two-story addition with basement and station. The addition of a large dormer on the south side of the roof and a shed roof over the back porch of the inside of the property. And the existing brick walls surrounding the yard to be removed and replaced with new brick. At the business meeting, the commission asked whether the property was a contributed structure. It was encouraged the applicant to find out whether this proposal would require any variances. One commissioner noted that this home is one of the only ones that do something of this nature and encourages the home to address the Denison Avenue side of the property. Another commissioner noted that the massing looks large, but if Denison was presenting as the front of the property, that could help with the increased mass. The commission noted that it would be helpful for all proposed improvements to be noted on the site plan. The commission were not opposed to making the front of the home appear to front Denison, and most commissioners were not worried about the massing. The commission asked what the large shack in the center was proposed to be and noted that it appears to be suburban. It was noted that the stack appearing more chimney-like may be more appropriate. It was noted that the front door seems like an afterthought and the applicant was encouraged to provide additional options for making the front door more of a focal point on the Denison side. And the commission agreed that this seems like an exciting project overall. The applicant has provided updated drawings showing the porch of the front door facing Denison, and all improvements are noted on the site plan as requested. The home was constructed in 1980, which does meet the city standards for a structure to be considered a historic building. The design of the addition does not feel in character with the style of the current home or the surrounding homes. The roof that wraps around the third story is not appropriate per City Code section 3116.12i, which encourages simple roof shapes that are similar in form and type to adjacent and visually related roofs. And staff just wants to ask the question whether the elevated stack is too tall in comparison to the current building and the surrounding contents. Staff recommendation is that the commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at future meeting, and no action is required. The basis for this recommendation is City Code section 3116.12, standards for new construction. City Code section 3116.13, standards for site improvements. And the Victorian Village guidelines on new construction.
Okay, can the applicants state name for the record, please?
Patrick McCarthy.
Dana Reddick?
Yeah, that's good.
Tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, great. And anything to add before we begin discussion?
No.
So the commission is to offer feedback.
I want just quick clarification, something, because at the business meeting, I think someone had mentioned the house was built in 1989, which would be not a contributing structure. Is that not accurate?
That's not accurate.
So 1980, for sure, okay. And it is a contributing structure, though.
Generally, I agree with the staff comments. The roof lines have gotten overly complicated. I'd say look at, especially this whole row is normally a gable. And all of a sudden you're introducing not one pin, but a lot of different pins.
Well, I mean, we could have changed that. You guys, I guess you guys talked after I left because I didn't hear any of those roof comments while I was here at the meeting. We would have changed.
No, I think at our meeting, basically what we said, this is a good opportunity. I used to live at 120.
Yeah.
It was one of the this end piece is the only piece in that whole neighborhood that has this opportunity. And we were saying, throw out some options. We weren't getting granular.
No, yeah, but I never heard anything about the roof line. Otherwise, we would have submitted other
And then
drawings.
the only other thing that I remember saying was, I really think about the floor plans architecturally because that door is the entrance to this new corner piece. And it's slid all the way over to the corner. You're trying to address Price Avenue and Dennison. What you should really be trying to do is address Dennison straight on and very elegantly on that new facade you're creating all along Dennison.
For clarification.
That's what it's kind of said.
The business meeting is just to review the material, make sure that everything is.
I was happy you guys were gonna let me do something. I was afraid I wasn't gonna do anything, so we're good.
Then we get into the nitty gritty stuff.
Kind of like having a
the
center,
bad
it's kind of like having a center hall and the door's over here.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have a great opportunity to do some really fun things.
The thing that jumps out to me is maybe with that kind of the main massing of the new piece is the split between the bottom level and the top level. I almost kind of want to see that as a complete one material all the way down, and it's kind of that's a piece of its own that's on the end here. The garage is its own thing. There's so much brick coming around that entire side that just feels, it makes that top level feel like it's a hat, not really incorporated.
Well, if you know that building, I'm sure you do, it's all split.
I know.
Half of it's siding, half of it's brick and not a
But they
whole
all
lot of.
read, but I think what Tim's saying, they all read in a vertical manner.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the introductions that you're putting in is really talking about horizontal versus vertical. And I think you have to have both.
It's exactly the same thing. Thanks, Sean.
I would say along with those same comments, the chimney being siding and especially how it's shown as a light color, it's going, hey, look at me, when really you're going, don't pay attention to me. So thinking about the material so it kind of blends in more, and there's.
It's also a very suburban feel, a sea of brick chimney.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't ever see a chimney with siding in this neighborhood. It would have burned out.
Yes.
Well, actually, almost all those chimneys do have like 120. We had some cedar, actual wood siding.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And it was a big fireplace too, so.
So I think, Jeffrey, I want to make sure I think we're on the same page in terms of the frontage. Because when I saw the revised, I was like, not what I expected. Right. Right. I was like, a front Dennison, and it's like, no, that's.
Yes.
You want the
Front
stereotype
Dennison, like.
to Dennison.
Yeah, like the problem is what is it gonna do for the inside and how you've got it laid out and stuff, and that's a whole different discussion.
In order to move it, the bathroom has to move. Because these have all been torn. This is an entire open section with the exception of The stairs are right there, the bathroom's right there. You can't get to that unless we make the new addition be the front door.
So I guess, are you talking about moving the front
So-
door?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so from experience, we talked about this on 120. They're all the same thing. And to redo and get an elevator into that house was gonna be a major thing because you actually have to build, which you're doing, off that main thing that addresses all those different levels. And that would be the same thing is the entrance is this new piece that talks about Dennison, that talks about the facade, that pulls things together. And then it has the connections and the arteries into those levels to make it work.
So, if you don't want to rework the whole house, I'd say, can you switch to page like 21? It's the floor plan. One more, sorry. So, if your door is your front door is
You got
gonna
it.
stay here. If this, at least, your stairs, which are creating its front, if we want, the goal is for this to be the front, moving these so they're
But
addressing.
No, the other one.
What?
This is now the long formal elevation of this property with,
I think it is though. You're still looking at the side of this house with the design of the basic design.
I
of this
think-
house. Very rarely do you face the gable end when it's this wide.
what you're doing is you're creating a whole new facade to the side of this building that says front.
I don't think you are though. I think you're just saying really big, complicated side.
But it's not a gable end anymore after the addition comes up.
Yeah.
Well, then.
But it's also it's a very skinny building. So this side really isn't.
Usually the skinny side is the one that faces the street and is the front. The long sides are the sides.
But I think what they're doing, so this is the trick of this
It's a corner property.
scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, in Federal or any of them, you'd have this long building that's very elegant and it's only this big. And so you don't say, I don't want to look at this short end. I want to create this on the long end, which is my street facade, which is where I can, and this gives them, they're not talking about this, they're talking about this, and they have a lot of leeway into how to create that elevation. That was my feel when I saw it, and I've always thought that this was a great opportunity, and none of those other properties have that ability to do that.
That's why I bought that in buildings.
I mean, it really does. It screams for something.
Yeah, I think the first iteration, we didn't do anything to the front door. And that was the feedback, what you were saying, basically, hey, can we make this more recognizable? I mean, I think Patrick would agree that, he gets deliveries and he has to tell them, hey, I'm around the corner.
They leave and they're like, we couldn't find you. DoorDash, no one can find me because it's a price.
So I think,
Number.
I think we weren't trying to reorganize your entire house, right?
No.
But we were trying to address, your concerns about elaborating on, the front door. And I could even envision, maybe there's steps going down to price as well, so that, as they're coming down price, it kind of says, hey, here I am.
Do not do 2 sets of steps that go this way and go down to a deck. Are you hearing me? Good.
If it has a price address, price is the front, so unless you want, you could go through the steps, you could have your address changed.
You can have your address changed, and it would be a pain, but then you'd even have a more precious,
To have it switch to the.
Dennison.
And that's just it, if you're talking about really making the front of the house, the Dennison face, then the address is mentioned.
Well,
Because otherwise you're gonna have the same problem you have now, they're like,
Yeah,
well, there's no.
exactly.
If it remains a price address, the price side should remain in front.
I mean, the price side presents as a side of a house, right? And so if you, with the way that it is, even with the new door, the front door porch thing, it looks like the 2 sides of a house.
This is a very simple Federal or Italianate style house that we're They're narrow on the front and long in the back.
But the corner conditions on those federal houses was much different. And this is the problem here is he has a great piece of land and he has a great opportunity. And I think what's gonna happen is one, we probably aren't gonna solve this in a meeting. And I think he has to do some iterations
Yeah,
of
both
what
iterations.
I wanna see five ideas or sketches of what you think it could be that might work out quick. Not all this energy and granular stuff and how these things work, but what's the overall story? How's it gonna look? How's it gonna feel? And what is it gonna be? And I think if you could produce those, I think quickly, we could get on the turnpike and know that these are the refinements that need to be done, not.
Yeah, I didn't want to change the inside a whole lot. I don't. I like it. I like the open floor plan. That wasn't my whole idea to add this. It was just to put more, have a more of a space. Because I had that extra land, I just wanted to put an addition on it.
I can see the argument either way, and with that, I'm appreciating more of the addressing price, but I guess maybe the challenge there is does that suggest that door should be coming into this new addition, that the main door is on that?
Not necessarily. We've seen quite a few houses that have these long, narrow front porches where the steps would go out this way and the door is on the side. You can't see the front door, but you know, if the stairs were here instead of here, then clearly there is a door there.
Well, like I said, I think this door being facing Dennison happened because there's a manhole cover right where the doors should be for it to have a Price Avenue, and they couldn't cover the manhole up with the cement to get up there. So they decided to take it off of
The manhole
right there. Yeah, no, it's back where the door would be. If it was one of the other row houses, yeah, right where there's a manhole cover in my garden.
But so this might give you then the language to change, so you know, the stairs can't be here, but they could be here. And if this is a porch that's rectangular versus wrapping around, it would be more in keeping with the other simple Italianate houses that have a similar porch, that have a door that is the side, it doesn't face the street.
So putting the French doors
But-
in would solve what they're wanting.
But at least your stairs and your clear front entries on the street where your address is.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like it's just that whole corner needs more work. I mean, yes, you can put the stairs and address price that way, but you still need to treat this as a corner, do something special there.
I'm just gonna say I'm with Jeffrey on this one. I mean, I understand the address is Price. I understand that it fronts the Price. The door is on Dennison and a side on Price looks like the side of a house, right? It doesn't present as in front of a house. I appreciate your opinion that you disagree. That's just where I'm at. And I think Jeffrey makes a good point that this is a really good opportunity to do something different on Dennison. I understand that's not quite what you were thinking as part of this, but I would encourage you to explore that a little bit and at least and see what that might look like and whether that's something that you would consider.
And there are probably options where you're not changing your floor plan. It's looking at the roof lines, looking at the material,
I mean, you could
looking at
spend $1
where the
million,
stairs are and the
spend
shape
half
of
$1 million,
it.
you could spend 250. I mean, it's there, you have so many options that could be what you want it to be. I just think that we're getting granular. I think you gotta throw them.
I guess can I say something? So, we didn't create the condition, right? It just is that way. And I think the first iteration, you weren't doing anything to the front door.
No.
So I guess I'm just wondering if nothing is done to the front door, are we being penalized in some instances by not doing something to the front door? Because it's already there, it's an existing condition.
My feeling on it is that if you come back with a drawing that fits the neighborhood and looks like it belongs there, and the door is where you want it to be, I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is a preference, and it might be a good idea, and it might be something to explore on your idea, but it's not something that I would say, for me personally, is a deal breaker where.
I agree, and I don't want to make it sound like it is a deal breaker, but, you know, I think it is something to look at, but I agree with you.
Well, if there's any clarity here, it's that it can go
Just
a couple different ways.
We're gonna give you a bunch of drawings
It
and.
usually works the best. You know, give us a few options.
Absolutely.
And let us pick from a menu, and that usually gets us on the right track.
All right.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes, unless we all disagree on which one we like, so then that's a big problem.
We pick parts and pieces.
You know, or the other thing is the device you use is that door is part of a corner and there's a taller piece that goes there that addresses both ways and the facade goes another way. I mean, there's devices and tools you can use. You know, you're given a door in a corner, which is a very strange condition, but it is what it is. So you can choose to work with it, or you can choose to work around it, or, I mean, there's tons of things you can do.
The important thing is that you get your DoorDash.
And your Amazon package.
They all have-
everything else.
The door is not facing right.
But it is, I mean, it is what it is.
Is that helpful? To
Yeah, I think
move
so.
Forward with,
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if we could, I mean, we got a little bit of feedback, I think, from your notes, but maybe some specificity on what exactly you have issues with. I heard roof lines. I heard chimney siding, kind of, but then not.
Yes, the chimney siding.
Well, we have to meet with the elevator company. It doesn't have to be that tall. That
Right.
could match the roof line
Yes.
if it needed to be.
Or like a chimney, I don't guess, to me, it isn't the height as much as the material that's making it stand out, and possibly the depth, you know. I understand you need to meet with the elevator company, so see how small you can make it, and even if that means, you know, up at the roof line, it gets smaller than what it is down below, because
Okay.
it's just overhead space.
And then again, it's just that, you know, that chimney again is facing this Dennison. And again,
It's like the side of the house where chimneys
well,
belong.
no, if you're if it was the side of the house, I'd be okay with it because that's falling in line with all the rest of the properties. But when it becomes a facade up front, then it can't be, it has to be addressed in brick, in my mind. So,
I'm just
but
saying,
we
DoorDash
can, we
doesn't
can,
know what fun is,
we
so-
can, we can intellectualize this
I think it's
Clear.
until the.
So it's clearly the side.
We had talked about wanting to do that stone, so it looked like a chimney. Is that an option if we have to keep the chimney?
I think you need to get the facade.
Okay.
I would just watch how many materials. you use.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably gonna end up defaulting to brick would be my guess. On the chimney. Or on the.
I would agree.
so I don't know if that gives a whole lot of clarity, but I think probably, the best thing is options. It's not
Yeah,
one
I would do
solution.
with their own.
It's one of those things where we might not know until we see it.
We don't need full drawings, probably, just like.
Just give us
big
a-
black and
Yeah,
white
just,
stuff.
they're just the outside now, yeah.
Yeah.
Including a basic floor plan is helpful, so we understand how it relates, but generally, that's it.
Think about materials, think about clarity of which side we are facing and how we'll treat that entry.
Good.
And simple is better. That's the other thing I would.
I would agree.
There's, you know, a lot of corners, a lot of things going on. Simple is better.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, you guys.
Yep.